It seems, viewers, that TPLF, Tigray People Liberation Front, is gradually putting more pressure upon the federal government, though the man nominated by TPLF to be the president of Tigray has been appointed by the federal government, but signs are there. The TPLF will exert more pressure upon the Ethiopian federal government in coming days. Welcome to My Views and News. Thank you for watching the channel. Two topics in this video, two news stories for you. First one is about TPLF, as I mentioned. TPLF leader Debretsion Gebremichael is demanding an urgent meeting of the African Union. Why? Obviously, TPLF is accusing the federal government of Ethiopia of violating Pretoria. Tension there between TPLF and the federal government. His appointment could not solve the issue, it seems. Secondly, viewers, Amnesty International has issued a report demanding a pause to the corridor development projects being implemented in Addis Ababa in other parts of Ethiopia. PMAB takes pride in these projects. These projects have transformed the capital city. There are painful stories behind this transformation, and Amnesty has uncovered these painful stories. Let's start with firstly, TPLF leader Debretsion Gebremichael met with African Union military officer who is in charge of monitoring, verification, and compliance committee, which was formed to monitor the implementation of Pretoria deal after the deal was signed in November 2022. This team of African Union observers is on the ground in Tigray, monitoring the developments related to implementation of the deal. New head of this African Union mission has been appointed. His name is Major General Samad Alade. Samad Alade replaced Stephen Radina. In the last 2 years, it was Stephen Radina who worked. Now, Stephen Radina has been replaced by Samad Alade. On his appointment, on his taking charge in Tigray, Samad Alade met with Debretsion Gebremichael, TPLF chairman, yesterday. In that meeting, TPLF chairman said that he would coordinate with AU observers, support observers in implementing Pretoria deal. At the same time, Debretsion Gebremichael demanded an urgent meeting of African Union countries which were part of the team which led to the signing of the Pretoria deal by backing the talks in Pretoria. Why? Why does Debretsion want an emergency meeting of the EU members? Three reasons mentioned by Debretsion in his meeting with Samad Alade. Firstly, Tigrayan IDPs are suffering. They could not be relocated back to their homes. Aid has been cut off for them, so they are in miserable conditions. Secondly, TPLF status has not been restored. Rather, it was awarded new status as a new party, but party rejected the new status, demanding restoration of its status. Thirdly, political dialogue has not started. Political dialogue means dialogue which would pave the way for integration of TPLF, Tigray politicians on federal level, and integration of PP in Tigray. Secondly, political dialogue between Tigray and Amhara will lead to hopefully solution of deadlock over the status of territories contested by Tigray and Amhara regions, territories like Humera, Volga, Segede, etc. Debretsion wants these three issues to be addressed at an emergency meeting of the AU observer states. Tibetan-led TPLF 2 days ago concluded a 5-day long Central Committee meeting. After that, it accused federal government of violating Pretoria deal, of unilaterally issuing directives, uh, regulations, and proclamations. If the Tibetan is opposed to, or you can say it is on board with the federal government in Varade about an 8-point document signed by Addis Ababa before his appointment as the president of the region. There are issues. By the way, these are serious issues. Federal government now won't be happily, it won't happily restore TPLF as a party. It won't just hand over Tigray to TPLF. That is why it made Varade sign that 8-point agreement. What will Varade do? That I'll do a video on that in coming hours. But TPLF seems to be exerting pressure upon federal government. Basically, it wants restoration of its status. IDP issue, also an issue, but of secondary importance. Main issue for TPLF is restoration of its status. Secondly, viewers, Amnesty International has released a shocking report exposing what is happening behind the scenes of corridor project being implemented in Addis Ababa. The Mahabi government takes pride in building infrastructure projects like corridor projects, which are being built not just in Addis Ababa, they're being built in Oromia, in Amhara, in Tigray, in other parts of Ethiopia too. Perhaps Addis Ababa is in need of such projects because it's the capital city, population growing, the city the city has been transformed. Yes, you cannot deny that. When foreigners visit Addis Ababa, they say that this government has transformed Addis Ababa by working on roads, infrastructure projects, building parks, museums, recreation sites, etc. But there are painful stories untold behind these infrastructure projects. Amnesty 2 days ago released a report demanding a pause to the corridor building project in Addis Ababa, saying that hundreds of people are being evicted from their homes without proper legal course. They're not getting money in return, or uh, the compensation which they demand is not reaching them. Amnesty has shared some details. In November 2024, 872 households were evicted in Lamikura and Bole in Addis Ababa. 254 were homeowners, 618 were tenants. They were evicted. No written notice was served on them, only oral notice. And after oral announcement, 2 days after the oral announcement, their houses were just bulldozed. Women, children, elderly suffered. They had nowhere to go. They did not get enough compensation. They're still suffering. Legal procedure is not being followed for these evictions, says Amnesty International. That is why it is demanding a pause to these corridor projects, saying that projects should only be implemented after a legal course has been followed and people's fundamental rights are respected. I think no one is against prosperity, no one is against development, but development should not be at the cost of suffering for the people of an area. I have been saying that money should be spent on people, not on roads and parks. Yes, infrastructural projects matter a lot. you cannot deny their significance. The country needs to be linked. The projects in Addis Ababa are not for linking factories and people, factories and markets. These are basically projects which are being built to show to the international community that Ethiopia has been transformed or traffic issues are being solved through these projects. But I think the main projects which could change the lives of the people in Ethiopia are those which would link production sites with markets, roads between farming sites and markets, roads between factories and from where material to factories come or where factories send their material. Those projects matter more than these intra-city projects, which are basically being built to be shown as a transformation, as a sign of transformation in Ethiopia. But legal course should be adopted. People's rights should not be violated. Will the government pause the projects? I don't think so. Government won't listen to Amnesty International, but at least government can launch an inquiry into the evictions. Were the evictions legal? Have the evicted people been compensated or not? Thank you for watching.